Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Rama continued, "This pitiable body, composed of veins, arteries, and nerves, is also a source of pain. Inert, it appears to be intelligent. One does not know if it is sentient or insentient, and it engenders only delusion. Delighted with a little gratification and distressed by the least adversity, this body is indeed highly despicable. I can only compare a tree to the body, with branches for arms, trunk for torso, holes for eyes, fruits for head, leaves for numerous illnesses, resting place for living beings. Who can say that it is one's own? Hope or despair in relation to it is futile. It is but a boat given to one for crossing this ocean of birth and death. But one should not regard it as oneself. This tree, which is a body, is born in the forest known as samsara, or repetitive existence. The restless monkey, that is a mind, plays on it. It is the abode of crickets or worries. It is constantly eaten by insects of endless suffering. It shelters the venomous serpents of craving, and the wild crow of anger dwells on it. On it are the flowers of laughter. Its fruits are good and evil. It appears to be animated by the wind of life force. It supports the birds of senses. It is resorted to by the traveler, lust or desire, for it provides the shade of pleasure. The formidable vulture of egotism is seated on it, and it is hollow and empty. It is certainly not meant to promote happiness. Whether it lives for long or falls in a short time, it is still useless. It is composed of flesh and blood. It is subject to old age and death. I am not enamored by it. It is completely filled with impure substances and afflicted with ignorance. How can it fulfill my hopes? This body is the home of illness, the field of mental distress, and changing emotions and mental states. I am not enamored of it. What is wealth? What is kingdom? What is the body? All these are mercilessly cut down by time or death. At death, this ungrateful body abandons the soul that dwelt in it and protected it. What hope shall I repose in it? Shamelessly, it indulges again and again in the same actions. Its only certain purpose seems to be to burn in the end. Unmindful of old age and death that are common to the rich and to the poor, it seeks wealth and power. Shame, shame upon those who are bound to this body, deluded by the wine of ignorance. Shame on those who are bound to this world. Every childhood, the part of life which people ignorantly regard as enjoyable and happy, is full of sorrow, O sage. Helplessness, mishaps, cravings, inability to express oneself, utter foolishness, playfulness, instability, weakness, all these characterize childhood. The child is easily offended, easily roused of anger, easily bursts into tears. In fact, one might say that child's anguish is more terrible than that of a dying person. an aged man, a sick man, or any other adult. For in childhood, one's state is comparable truly to that of an animal living at the mercy of others. The child is exposed to the countless happenings around it. They puzzle the child, confuse the child, and arouses in it various fantasies and fears. The child is impressionable and is easily influenced by the wicked. In consequence, the child is subjected to control and punishment by its parents. Childhood seems to be a period of subjugation and nothing else. Though the child may appear to be innocent, the truth is that all sorts of defects, sinful tendencies, and neurotic behavior lie hidden and dormant in it. Even as an owl lies hidden in a dark hole during the daytime, O sage, I pity those who foolishly imagine that the childhood is a happy period. What can be worse suffering than a restless mind? And the child's mind is extremely restless. Unless the child gets something new every day, it is unhappy. Crying and weeping seem to be the child's foremost activity. When the child does not get what it wants, it looks as if its heart is broken. When the child goes to school, it receives punishment in the hands of its teachers, and all this adds to its unhappiness. When the child cries, its parents, in order to pacify it, promise to give it the world, and from then on, the child begins to value the world, to desire the worldly objects. The parents say, I shall give you the moon for a toy, and the child, believing their words, think that it can hold the moon in its hands. Thus are the seeds of delusion sown in the little heart. Though the child feels heat and cold, it is unable to avoid it. How is it better than a tree? Like the animals and birds, the child vainly reaches out to get what it wants, and it is fearful of every elder in the house. Leaving this period of childhood, the human beings go into the stage of youth. But he is unable to leave the unhappiness behind. There he is, subjected to numerous mental modifications, and he progresses from misery to greater misery, for he abandons the wisdom and embraces the terrible goblin known as lust that resides in his heart. His life is full of desires and anxiety. They who have not been robbed of their wisdom in their youth can withstand any onslaught. I am not enamored of this transient youth in which short-lived pleasure is quickly followed by long-lasting suffering, and deluded by which man regards the changing to be the changeless. What is worse still, it is during youth that one indulges in such actions that brings unhappiness to many others. Even as a tree is consumed by a forest fire, the youth's heart is consumed by the fire of lust when his beloved leaves him. However much he wants to develop purity of heart, the youth's heart is stained with impurity. Even when his beloved is not present near him, he is distracted by the thoughts of her beauty. Such a person who is full of craving is naturally not held in high esteem by good men. Youth is abode of disease and mental distress. It can be compared to a bird whose wings are good and evil acts. Youth is like a sandstorm that disperses and dissipates one's good qualities. Youth arouses all sorts of evil in the heart and suppresses the good qualities that may exist there. It is thus the promoter of evil. It gives rise to delusion and attachment. Though youthfulness appears to be very desirable to the body, it is destructive to the mind. In youth, the man is tempted by the mirage of happiness, and in its pursuit, he falls into the well of sorrow. Hence, I am not enamored by youth. Alas, even when youth is about to leave the body, the passions that it had aroused burn the more fiercely and bring about one's quick destruction. He who delights in his youth is surely not a man, but an animal in human garb. They are adorable, they are great souls, and they alone are men who are not overcome by the evil of youth, and who survive that stage of life without succumbing to its temptations. For it is easy to cross a great ocean, but to reach the other shore of youth without being overcome by its likes and dislikes is indeed difficult. A man is a slave of sexual attraction in the body, which is no more than aggregate of flesh, blood, bone, hair, and skin. He perceives beauty and charm. Even if this beauty is permanent, there is some justification to the imagination, but alas, it does not last very long. On the contrary, very soon the very flesh that contributed to the attractiveness, the charm, and the beauty of the beloved is transformed first into the shriveled ugliness of old age, and latter consumed by fire or by worms or by vultures. Yet, while it lasts, this sexual attraction consumes the heart and the wisdom of the man. By this is the creation maintained. When this attraction ceases, this samsara, birth-death cycle, also ceases. When the child is dissatisfied with its childhood, youth take over. When youth is plagued by dissatisfaction and frustration, old age overpowers it. How cruel is life! Even as wind tosses a dewdrop from a leaf, old age destroys the body. Even as a drop of poison, when it enters the system, soon pervades it, senility soon pervades the entire body and breaks it down and makes it the laughing stock of other people. Though the old man is unable to satisfy his desires physically, the desires themselves flourish and grow. He begins to ask himself, "Who am I? What should I do?" etc. When it is too late for him to change his life's course, alter his lifestyle, or to make his life more meaningful. With the onset of senility, all the distressing symptoms of physical breakdown, like cough, white hairs, hard breathing, and emaciation, manifest themselves. Perhaps the deity presiding over death sees the white-roofed head of an old man as a salted melon and rushes to take it. As a flood cuts away the roots of trees standing on the river bank, senility vigorously cuts the root of life. Death follows and carries it away. Senility is like the royal attendant who precedes the king. Death. Ah, how mysterious and astounding it is! They who have not been overcome by enemies and who will have taken their abode in inaccessible mountain peaks, even they have been afflicted by the demoness known as senility and degeneracy. This finishes today's chapter. We'll see you again soon.